Greetings, Nick with Sweetwater here, and welcome to Bowcott's Bunker number 5. Yep, it's another quarantine video, filmed alone at home on my phone, while practicing social distancing, of course. As you've just seen, the subject of this bunker is 25 or 6 to 4, the 80s metal way. Now what does this mean? Well, simply this. We're going to take a song that was written in the 70s and drag it screaming into the mid-80s. Yup, we're going to take a classic riff, one of the first ones we all learned, and make it metal! Just so you know, the title of this video was originally going to be 25 or 6 to 4, the right way. The reason being simply this: a lot of people, including myself, play this classic riff wrong. And when I say wrong, it sounds right, it's just not the exact same way Chicago play it on the record. As already mentioned, to be honest with you, as opposed to lying, I'm one of the many guitar players who played this riff wrong, and I've even done so on stage. Let me show you what I mean. Here's a close but no carrot version of this classic riff. Yeah, it does sound right, doesn't it? But it's not exactly the same way Chicago recorded it. Here's what I'm talking about. The riff consists of 5 notes: A, G, F sharp, F and E. And most people, including myself, invariably play those notes as power chords, like this. But if you listen to the original recording very, very closely, you'll notice that the first 4 notes, the A, the G, the F sharp, and the F, are not actually power chords, they're octaves. The only power chord is the E5 that closes the riff. Here's how it's played correctly, the Chicago way. As you can see and hear, the only power chord is the open E5 one at the very end, this one here. So it's this. Not this. Octaves good, power chords in this case, bad. The other thing I was guilty of playing incorrectly was those classic percussive chaka-chakas. I was playing in the right place, just in the wrong timing, and that timing is vital. Here's the riff played the Chicago way with backing. Yes, my friend, as you've just heard, using octaves on those first 4 notes and also getting the timing of those percussive chaka-chakas right is pretty vital if you want to play this riff the Chicago way. Now, if you've never played octaves before, let's quickly learn how to do so. And we'll start by the very first note of the riff, the A. So we're going to start by fretting the A note at the 5th fret on the low E string with your first finger, just like this. Now the A note an octave higher than this can be found at the 7th fret on the D string, right here. So it's 2 strings over and 2 frets higher, got it? And as you can see, I'm fretting that one with my pinky, but if you want, you can use your 3rd finger, whatever feels most comfortable. Now all you've got to do is play both notes at the same time with a single pick motion. Now at this point, you're probably thinking, huh? But how can I play those 2 notes together when that pesky A string is in between them and I want to play them with 1 pick? Well, it's actually very simple. Here's how you do it. This is the trick. You angle your first finger so its underside is resting lightly on the A string and thus muting it, just like this. You don't actually fret the A string though, you just want to rest against it, like I've just said, very lightly. Then when you pick the low E, A and D strings with a single pick stroke like this, you only hear the 2 A notes, not the muted A string. Here it is again. Pretty cool, huh? and not that difficult once you've got the hang of it. Here is the whole riff again. Now, to make doubly sure I'm not getting any unwanted open string noise when I play these octaves with nonchalant aggression like this, and as you saw, I'm not just hitting the bottom 3 strings, I'm hitting all 6. I've got my fingers angled in such a way that I'm not only muting the A and the G strings, I'm also muting the high E and B strings. Check it out. Hence, hurrah! When you're doing those percussive chucka-chuckas, you know, these things, please make sure you're muting the strings with at least 2 fingers, but never just 1. Why never 1? Well, you might get unwanted natural harmonics like this. Not good in the case of this song. Good for Mouth for War by Pantera, but not here. So when playing this 25 or 6 to 4, 2 fingers or more good, 1 finger, bad. So now you know how to play this riff correctly, let's get on to the 80s metal version. And what I'm going to do is simply this. The first 8 bars will be played the Chicago way, and then some good old-fashioned mid-80s metal is going to take over. Are you ready? Here goes nothing, dear boy. And there you have it. So the question is, was that cool or criminal? Stellar or sacrilegious? Dynamite or just plain dumb? You decide. But there's one thing I must point out before I dissect what I just did. This jacket and this wig, I did not wear them to make fun of heavy metal from the 80s. I love that period. In fact, this jacket I wore in 1987 on the Grim Reaper tour and also in the Rock You to Hell video. And as for this, well, say no more. Yes, my friend, in my humble opinion, 80s metal is responsible for some of the finest riffs, licks, solos, songs, and guitarists to have ever graced heavy metal. I mean, the list of bands is impressive and endless. Except Arm & Saint, Dokken, Dio, Lynch Mob. Hence this guitar. Rat, Wasp, Motley Crue, Judas Priest, they were all amazing bands. I mean, even the first Pantera album back in '84 was predominantly 80s metal orientated. Check this riff out. Now, is that a cool riff or what? And it was written by the same guy that wrote Mouth for War, New Level, and Walk. Yep, Dimebag Darrell. He was known as Diamond at the time, but that's from Pantera's debut self-financed album that came out in '84 called Projects in the Jungle, and the song was called Like Fire. As for the band lineup, check it out. Let's see, we've got Rex Rocker on bass, Vincent Paul on drums, Diamond Darrell Lance on guitar, and Terrence Lee on vocals. Yes, my friends, that's 3/4 of the classic Pantera lineup. The only thing missing, Philip Anselmo. And then this was born. In short, I love 80s metal. Always have and always will. It's where my heart still remains. Anyway, disclaimer over. Let's dissect that metal riffage we just listened to. First though, some much needed Java. Yes, my friend, it's coffee time. I've got a fresh new cup and a fresh new brew. Smells good. Not bad, but it's missing something. It needs some pep, some zing, so let's add something. Cinnamon? Nah. Turmeric? Supposed to be pretty healthy, but nah. Ooh. Chili? Now we're talking. Let's get some of this in there. Get this handy dandy mixing tool. Oh, perfect! Just what the doctor ordered. Coffee and chili. Yeah! Right, coffee break's over. Let's get on to mutating 25 or 6/4 into 80s metal. Now we know the riff is in A minor, and we know the chord progression or note progression is A, G, F sharp, F, and E. Now a typical 80s metal trait is to palm mute and chug the root note, which in this case would be A, and then play power chords or dyads higher up the neck. So let's see what happens if we just play the root 5 power chords on the D and G strings and chug that there open A string with some nice chunky palm muting. To be honest, that was kind of pedestrian, kind of boring. So let's change it up. Let's add some flavor by removing the A5 power chord and replacing it with a minor dyad, which is the root, the A, and the minor third, which is a C, just like this. The A minor dyad is merely this, the A note at the 7th fret on the D string, with the minor third note C at the 5th fret on the G. So here's the riff one more time with that simple change. Yeah, that's more like it. That's definitely heading along the right path. But I'll tell you what, that third chord, the F sharp 5, is bugging the heck out of me. And I think the reason it's bugging me is because the high note in it is a C sharp. And C sharp is the major third of A. And we're in A minor. So let's see what happens if we move the C sharp to a C. So now we have F sharp and C, which is a root flat 5th, a Mr. Scary chord. Let's check out and see what happens when we make that change. Just so you can see it visually, this is what we're doing. We're going from the F sharp 5 dyad, which is F sharp and C sharp, and we're just changing the C sharp to a C, so we're going, which is F sharp and C, so root flat 5th, the Mr. Scary dyad, and this is what the riff sounds like with that bad boy added. Yes, sir, now we're cooking with gas. Now I want to try something else. Let's move each chord a half beat forward, so instead of happening on a downbeat, they're happening on an upbeat. To show you what I mean, here's how we've been playing it so far with each chord on a downbeat, on the 1 if you will. As you've just heard, and if you were counting, the first 4 chords, the A, the G, the F sharp and the F, all happened on the downbeat of 1. And the E5 happened on the downbeat of 3 on the last bar. Now let's see what happens if we take all of those and move them half a beat forward. Yeah, I like that. Now let's play it with the bass, and what I'm going to do is this. I'm not going to move the bass half a beat forward. I'm going to leave it changing on the downbeat. Let's see how the two converge, shall we? Right, let's quickly recap on what we've done so far. We've evolved from this, 1, 2, 3, 4, to this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we're definitely on the right path. Let's continue. Now at this point of the proceedings, we could mess with the dyads even more if we like. For example, we could take the G5 and make it into a root major third dyad like this. Here's the G5 root 5th shape with the G note at the 5th fret on the D string and the D note at the 7th fret on the G string. And here's the root major third dyad. Same root note of G at the 5th fret on the D, but this time with the B note at the 4th fret on the G string. And if we throw that in instead of the G5, this is what the riff sounds like. That said, you know what? I'm going to leave the G5 as is at the moment, and instead I'm going to change the palm muting pattern. Instead of just chugging away on the open A, I'm going to come up with a short, simple, repeated riff that happens after the A, G, and F sharp chords. So what we're doing here is this. We're going from this bad boy to this. Yeah, I'll buy that. Now I just want to make one more change. I am going to change that G5, but not to a root major third dyad. I'm going to change it based on what's happening before and after it chord-wise. Check this out. Here are the 5 dyads we're playing in this riff. A minor, G5, F sharp flat 5, F5, and E5. Now of the first 4, 3 of them share the same C note at the 5th fret of the G string. The A minor, the F sharp flat 5, and the F5. Now as the key of this riff is A minor and C is the minor third of that key, I'd like to hear what adding the C to the G shape would sound like, making it a G4 dyad as C is the 4th note in the key of G. Let's check it out. Here's the old dyad sequence again. And here's the new one with the C added to the G. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm digging that G dyad change. So here's what we've got so far with the repeated riff thrown in as well. Yes, sir, that definitely works for me, but I do want to instigate one more small change. Every other go round of the riff, instead of ending on E5, I want to end on an E minor 7 chord for variance and also resolution. And also, because I like it, darn it, and it's my riff. This is the E minor 7 shape I'm talking about. Here's what I'm playing here. The open low E string note, then the E note at the 7th fret on the A string with my 3rd finger, then the G note at the 5th fret of the D string, which is a minor 3rd with my 1st finger, and then the D note, which is the minor 7th at the 7th fret on the G string with my pinky. And all together they sound like this. Nice! And there is my 80s jigsaw complete, so let's listen to it all with bass and drums. And that, my friend, concludes our time travel journey from 1970 to 1985. I sincerely hope you had at least half as much fun as I did, because I had a blast. And I'll tell you what, if you did enjoy it, try taking this riff and doing an 80s metal version that's completely yours. Then send it in, because I'd love to hear it. Until next time, be safe, wash those hands, see ya! And as for this, well, say no more.